not technically feasible from the infectious disease standpoint. Another example are facial abscesses when people have infections in the face are not common, but every once in a while someone gets a facial abscess. And so sometimes, again, the ER likes to use ultrasound. So they get an ultrasound of such and such person's face, and the ultrasound will read loculated, multi-echoic fluid collection, possibly representing abscess versus whatever, edema, whatever. Again, in that type of scenario, it almost kind of doesn't really matter what the ultrasound says. If you look at it and you can feel a fluid collection, it should just be incised and drained.
Wouldn't ultrasound help you in the guidance though? Guidance part, especially if to understand how deep it is and where a needle tip should be, those kind of things. Wouldn't that help?
So in the previous scenario that I described, let's say it wasn't a pancake size and it was much larger. In that scenario, yes. Right? In that scenario, I think in a larger collection, I think it would help for the interventional radiologist to guide a minimally invasive directed aspiration. In the facial abscess scenario, it is not helpful because usually it's deep and it just needs to be cut open with a knife. And once you cut it open with a knife, you essentially can stick your scissors in and just spread and all the abscess comes out. It's in those types of aspirating these types of superficial abscesses usually results in an incomplete resolution because you're not actually opening up all the walls that separate the abscess. And the other reason is because if you just stick it with a needle, the area is so contaminated. So if all you do is just suck out the pus, the area is still infected, and so the pus will likely reaccumulate. So the proper treatment, a more complete treatment would be to cut it open with a knife anyway. If all you did was suck it out, you would only be providing temporary relief. You rarely would provide a permanent solution. In a few situations, maybe if you just give them a lot of if it was kind of small, mostly all fluid, you stick it in, you suck out the fluid, and you try to collapse it down and then give a lot of antibiotics. Maybe in a few situations you can get away with that, but most of the time it will reaccumulate and you're going to have to cut them open anyway.
Got it. One last question. Have you heard of elastography or tissue stiffness evaluations?
Tissue stiffness is like the study of biomechanics of tissue?
Kind of, yes. So similar to that, but it's an ultrasound guided technique, and what the device does is it evaluates the stiffness of the tissue that it's sampling, and it gives you a number, which is more like a Young's modulus, stiffness number. And I wanted to know if that was something, in your institution, if the radiology department has that.